Hey, everybody. If you find yourself being busy, but not necessarily focused on tasks that help you and your business grow, then we have a fantastic micro habit for you today to help you take back control of your dopamine. And if you don't know what that is, we're going to get into it today. We're going to help you enable the right cocktails in your brain in order to push you forwards to your next tough goal. So stick around because we are going to go deep into the mind on today's show. So I want to welcome you to the Entrepreneur Expansion Show. This is the first ever gamified show that helps entrepreneurs master their subconscious mind, body, and business by implementing micro habits into their lives in a fun, supportive, action-oriented way to create more transformational impact and income. Because let's be real, how often do you listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video and do nothing with it? We hope today to change that for you and give you a bigger return on investment on your time here and give you the exact mind and body action steps to get you the results from your learning time. So we have the amazing Tirzah Elese.
Perfect. Hi.
Awesome
Hi.
on today's show, and she is a dynamic leadership consultant and educational specialist with nearly 3 decades of experience. And this is great because I spent almost 2 decades as a teacher as well. So we're going to have some fun time geeking out about brain science and helping you all just optimize a little bit of dopamine today. So thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. And thank you so much. I'm just really honored that we made a connection over that networking evening. And I was just like,
Absolutely.
when I heard you speak, I was like, I need to talk to you more. And here we are. So
Here
thank you
we
for having me
are.
on. Thank you for having
Absolutely.
me.
Absolutely. So I love talking about dopamine because a lot of people, number one, don't know what it is or like what it does, and they don't necessarily know how much it's really controlling their lives
Hmm.
and making a lot of difference in what they do or don't do or what they get or don't get results wise in their life. So I'd love to kind of break down like where did this all start for you? Like what led you down the rabbit hole of helping people in with their dopamine, their leadership, neuroscience, all that stuff. And then we'll get into how to actually implement this into their lives.
Okay, well, a number of years in a nutshell, it started in the early years classroom. So watching young children and seeing what worked best to get them interested, to get them engaged, and to get them retaining quite difficult concepts. And observing what I did or didn't do, or did right or did quote unquote wrong, I could see what actually made a child stay longer, listen harder, try more. And really, what it was is taking the brain to a point of success, but not too much success too quickly. So, when we start doing things for ourselves fast, and this is why there's a big threat with AI, and we should park that for a minute and go back to it because we need to not allow our brain to get stuff too easy because it wants more. Effectively, dopamine is our most valued chemical within the brain if we want to continue to grow, but it is also our biggest crutch if we get the balance wrong. And
Yeah.
this is often where you see parents becoming frustrated with their child not developing the skills that they want them to develop as quickly, but it's often because they do stuff for them or they don't sit back and let them struggle through
Mm.
or I don't know, risk take through the situation. So anyway, it started there. And then I became, after however many 100 years, became then the lead of education for a couple of boroughs in London. And my role was to enable teachers through strategies and through knowledge to get kids that were struggling to engage in the lessons or work well in the school to do that better.
Mm.
And a lot of teachers start with strategies, or maybe other experts will say, oh, let's get this behavior program going or this extra math tuition, etc., and then they'll be better. But actually, that's all just folly and a waste of time. And what we have to do is we have to grapple with their level of dopamine, which is self belief in what they can do well, and the desire to have more of that success in order to
Mm.
keep trying, keep going, and keep struggling with the next challenge. Did that make any sense?
It made total sense. And I want to make sure the listeners understand why this is so important to you, because you said a lot of really, really key important things there. And what I noticed working with both children in
Mm-hmm.
school, but also like kind of what drives them and what
Yeah.
motivates them to do the things, uh, but also like business owners and what motivates them to actually keep going and keep moving forwards. Because a lot of times it fails, and I've learned that it's because they are chasing dopamine in building their business. And when they're not actually receiving the same dopamine hits from building the business, they kind of do what I call the restless saboteur. They're jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing, and they're not actually
Yes.
finishing things to
Yeah.
to get the results that they want. And they're like, I don't understand why. It's a lot of times they're once again doing what you just said. They're chasing this dopamine hit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's something that of course, most of the time, they're not even aware of.
Mm. Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there. Why is it important for me? It goes back to my childhood where I wasn't given a lot of that experience or opportunity. I grew up in an environment which was very told, and you do as you're
Mm,
told, you act as expected, and you achieve only what we're telling you to achieve.
yep.
And me, as my personality and my character, it was everything that I was not. I wanted to get out there and get messy and get explorative and, try and fail and do, but I wasn't allowed that. So I think for me, what's so important is that I now know that that's what drives me. And it's also what drives hundreds of other, if not
Oh,
all, other people. So that's really why it's important to me. If we go jump over to the business owners, and I as an entrepreneur many times in my life, I see exactly what you're talking about. And we're this chase of dopamine, or this, it's actually, people don't even know they're chasing dopamine. What they're chasing is
no.
this surge of excitement or this success level, like, yay, I've achieved. But
Yep.
we're setting our goals too short. And so that's why we give up or we jump from this to this, because we're not enabling real clarity in the long term goal and continuing to remind ourselves of that. But to achieve a long term goal, there's about 20 or 30 steps. And sometimes when we've hit the benchmark of one step, we think, oh, yay, 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 let's go have
Yeah.
kava and celebrate, right? Let's go out and drink champagne because I got there. And then what happens is your dopamine goes way up here, and we think, yay, we've achieved it. But then we actually haven't, and we realize that we're done that celebration, and then we crash. And the crash down sometimes can be more devastating than the not ever doing it. And so
Absolutely.
it's this kind of game or tug of war within our science, neuroscience makeup. And then that links to our serotonin, it links to our oxytocin, which all together work with making us really successful in perseverance and in fighting through to the next thing. And what happens when we crash is that it's that cortisol, isn't it? That cortisol level of
Totally.
that sort of, oh, okay, fine, I'll just do something else then. And then
Yep.
we find ourselves in this sort of hamster wheel of always continuing to do half of something and
Yeah.
never fully getting to the end,
Yeah. Yeah. I always
right?
think of the beginning phases of these folks where, for any of you that have ever clicked on a link or an ad and downloaded something for free, or maybe a low cost, low ticket type thing, you just the downloading of it, just getting the thing, it feels to your brain like, oh, I
Achieved
did
it.
it. I just
Yes.
achieved it, right? So that's
Yes.
why everyone has a massive, gigantic digital folder of things that are just get,
Sitting there.
sitting there doing nothing, as well as, a bunch of books and courses and all of this stuff. And they're like, I should. And then, of course, they get into the I should be further along because their brain thinks that they've done all of these things and that it, you know, when in
Yes.
actuality, it's just like all smoke and mirrors. It's like a wild, wild rabbit hole. So I'm excited to understand what your recommendations are for this so we can give them a very clear, like, micro habit to support um, this whole dopamine feast and famine type of thing.
Wonderful. Well, I was just going to pick up on what you said. So that sort of downloading of the free or low ticket product, immediately go to your strategic plan and write down it as a job rather
Mm,
than walking away, closing your phone and going, yes, I've done that. Because like you said, the yes, I've done it makes your brain think that that box is ticked when actually you've just opened that box by
yep.
purchasing that thing. But most of us, when we purchase something, let's go back in our lives, we purchase something, we're like, hooray, we've done it. We've bought the sweater. Now we can wear it and we've succeeded. So our brain is getting confused with the act of purchasing, the act of succeeding. You get that email, you're in, you've started the journey. Okay, great, that job's done. No, it's not. That's when it immediately goes onto your strategic plan and you put days against what you've just set out to do.
Nice.
And put it in your diary every day. Go back to said product, spend 30 minutes and go through that video. Because if you can put a task against that action, we're lowering that dopamine level, but we're giving it enough satisfaction of achievement to want more because it's now on our to-do list. It's the same as
Totally.
when you're using AI. For example, let's say you're a course creator or you're a marketing specialist or you're making a website. You go into AI and you give it all the right prompts, you really take time on that prompt, and then you hit send and download all this amazing stuff from AI. Okay, I'm going to get up and have a cup of coffee. Job's done. No, it's not.
No.
Force yourself, write it down, go back and read what you got. What are you going to use? What are you going to do to go deeper? So you're getting a little bit of success. I don't know if you've ever heard of a guy named Andrew Huberman.
Yeah, I love the Huberman Lab.
Fantastic, right? And he talks a lot about this dance between dopamine, serotonin,
Totally.
oxytocin. And his biggest message is give it just enough to feel proud of itself and to feel
Yep.
happy and successful, but not enough so that it wants more.
Totally.
It's the same as anything we get addicted to, right? And if we want to become addicted to being successful entrepreneurs, we can't succeed too quick, right? We can't get
Yeah.
to the end too quick. So we need to keep putting it back on our to-do list, putting it back in your diary, going back to it every day, even if it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
That's really powerful. I think this is just a really powerful habit in and of itself is like when you buy something, it's the beginning. I think that's the big takeaway here. Like that's the beginning of what we need to do with it. And when a lot of people feel like that's the end, and as a coach, consultant, therapy practitioner, all that stuff, like when people jump into my program and offer, like they feel really good about jumping in, but then the work begins. Like the stuff we're gonna
That's
do
it.
to actually get the result starts then,
Mhm.
and that, of course, a lot of times can feel uncomfortable, right? And it's
Yeah,
not the same dopamine boost as, yeah, here we go. I think that's the whole thing when people, start their New Year's resolution. That's why 92% 2 or 3 weeks in are just,
exactly.
they're out of the game because it doesn't give them the same dopamine boost. And
That's
you're
right.
all, just so everybody's clear, like you're getting these, like anytime you're going on social media, you're getting likes, you're getting all this stuff, you're getting these dopamine hits. And so
Yeah.
one of the things I've found profound, and not to lead us off track, we're going to come right back, but I take dopamine detoxes. So I'll take whole half days or whole days
Mhm.
just off of the phone, just off of anything that increases dopamine, right? Even hyper palatable foods, like all of that type of stuff, just to get that reset in place. That's a topic for another day. But I love this micro habit of just once you do the thing, you are adding it to the list. Like this
Yeah.
is now part of what you're doing. Is that
And I think it
is
goes, it links really nicely though with what you said around a dopamine fast or
yeah,
whatever you called it. because when you go back to your planning or your business plan, your strategic plan, or Trello or Notion or whatever it is you're using, you go back to that. Well, that's kind of boring, isn't it? That's not really an exciting, fun, addiction thing. So that's
Totally.
almost like taking that little mini break. So you're going back to this spreadsheet. Okay, here's my business plan on a Trello that I'm going through for the next 6 months. Where am I going to slot in this new purchase of self-development and business growth? Because also when these guys sell you this stuff, you get so excited, right? Oh my God, it's going to work. I'm finally going to get the sales I need. I'm finally going to get the
Yeah.
visibility I'm after because I'm going to purchase this guy's thing. Fine, but purchasing it is the task of then making it happen. And most of them sell you the dream, but you actually have to do the work. You
Yep.
have to watch their videos, you have to follow their steps and do what they tell you. So,
Yeah.
that's a good dopamine sort of balancing act. Yes, this is exciting. Okay, I'm inspired. I feel empowered by this guy's message. I've chose him out of the 50 I've watched in the last 30 minutes. I'm going to choose this one and then immediately take out your to-do list, go through the boring part of back to your planning. And I think for entrepreneurs, it's a good point
Yeah.
here just to remind you, when's the last time you looked at your business plan? When's the last time you made that business plan into a month-long strategic sort of action plan with
Yeah.
really clear steps and really clear, month markers? Because if you haven't done that, that's another reason why you're probably flitting back and forth and going
Totally.
here and there, because you've just got the big idea in your head, which is your excitement, which is your vision and your goal. Well, you've got to get back to the landing gear and pull those runway wheels out so that you can
For
actually
sure.
go forward.
Yeah, yeah. I always think of like, when I was in college and university, like they would give you the syllabus day one, right? The plan
Yeah.
of what you're going to do in this class and how it's going to be implemented and all that stuff. And you're always kind of going back to that and seeing the benchmarks that you're trying to hit. And so we
Yeah.
really need to implement this for ourselves. This is a really
Mm-hmm.
powerful micro habit to implement for ourselves is once you buy something, making sure that it fits into the overall comprehensive plan of this of the big picture of what this
Yeah.
actually looks like
Yeah.
and making it so that you feel like it feels really good and making the dopamine come from going through the plan and actually
That's right.
implementing the whole plan. This is beautiful. I love this. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is the main micro habit steps? So, how would they go and actually implement this thing?
So I guess depending on where your starting point is, so let's take the example of purchasing a product, or let's take the example of getting to the end of a to-do something, whatever it might be,
Yep.
is leveling out your self-gratification activity or experience. If you've purchased something and you feel really good and you go off and you go for a walk and you have a coffee because, oh, I've done that job, I've purchased it. You must first, before you celebrate, put the next action down, because you're giving your brain that information or that instruction that there is more and we want more. We need to do a little bit more to achieve even more of that happiness or that success feeling,
I
right?
love
So,
that. I want that to be the main focus of this entire thing, y'all. Because like this is like one of those. This is such a interesting, unique micro habit that nobody thinks about. Like no one's thinking about this very simple step, right? And what's easy to do is also easy not to do.
yeah,
And it's just so powerful. So it allows them to take one more step,
yes,
right? So it's kind of like I think of it like this: putting your shoes on doesn't mean going outside and taking a walk, right?
there you
But
go.
but the thing is a lot of people will put their shoes on and you're at that point you're not like, oh, I did the walk or I did the exercise. So this is a good way to
You
think
got your
about
gym
it.
clothes on and you still haven't lost weight.
Exactly. You're like, if you just put your shoes on and you just sit on the couch, it's not gonna do much, y'all.
No,
So the next
no,
step is
that's funny.
walking outside. So this, I love, love,
Yeah,
love this micro habit. So deciding and figuring out what's the best next step? What is the next action once you've done the first step of buying or acquiring or whatever it is?
Yeah.
What's this action step that you're going to
Yes.
take on this thing? This is
Yeah.
beautiful. I love this.
And then I would add, give yourself a time limit to finish all of those next steps in relation to that particular achievement or task or purchase or whatever, right? So say, okay, I've purchased this or I've completed this set of tasks in order to enable a long-term goal. The end of
Hmm.
that long-term goal is going to be 6 weeks from now, so
Yeah.
that it's marked in. So your brain isn't ticking that box and saying it's done,
Yep.
because then the dopamine continues to want to come back and do more. And it will help you to get up again in the morning with more focus and more intent because you've still got more to do.
Totally.
And we
Yeah.
learn this from young children. It's the same when, you and I teaching young kids. If we say, yes, you did it, amazing. Okay, you got all these stickers now, then in their mind, it's done.
Yeah.
Then sometimes you lose them and you lose their focus. And
Totally.
that's why I hate these sort of superficial rewards. And it links directly to us as well. And it's the same in the workplace when I consult with and support bosses of large companies. Ensure that your staff are very, very aware of, part of building, and entrenched in the process of the full strategic plan. Because if you're just giving them a task to achieve, and then by Friday they've done it and they all go out to the pub and get Larry, then by the time they come back in on Monday, you kind of got to reel them all back in again with the week's
Yeah.
new goals. Whereas actually, if we know the full strategic plan, you get much more engagement and much
Yeah.
more consistency. And the output is so much higher than the feeding in and the input that managers
Totally.
or you have to give.
I love it. I love it. This is wonderful, folks. I really hope you're picking this up, what we're laying down here. This is a really, really, really powerful micro habit. And yeah, just something that's this could change your whole life, y'all. Like literally, like just knowing what I know about the dopamine and how it works and all of that stuff. Doing less of scrolling social media and doing more of like once you buy a thing or take part in a thing, then you are making that part of the strategic action plan. So this is super cool. So I love all this. Like always, y'all. Jump into the community, start taking action on this, get rewarded for doing so, and reach out. Like I say in every episode, we are human beings. So connect with
Yep.
Tirzah, and if you find that you need more support on this, ask your questions. We love helping people. So this isn't one of those shows that you're just like, oh, I'll never be able to, just put this on the back burner like everything else. Let's go and actually implement this and put this
Exactly.
into real
Mhm.
practice. So where, if they were searching for you on the internet, where would they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Tirzah Elise, I believe. I'm on LinkedIn.
Yep.
And you can also find me at www.she-exclusive.com. You can email me there, or you can you can email me directly at sheexclusive.com.
Perfect. Perfect. And you
I'll
can
send you all
always,
my handles anyway.
yeah,
So,
I love that. I love that. So we'll put that all in the notes, y'all, and then she'll be in the community. So yeah, connect with us. Love this. Thank you so much for this massive,
my
awesome
pleasure.
micro habit knowledge bomb today. And like always, folks, keep showing up, taking action, and you will get results.